How you doing, guys? Hope you guys are doing good. So yeah, I'm back. I was doing a lot of thinking lately about fear. I've seen a lot of videos talking about overcoming fear and stuff like that, but nobody really gets down into what fear is and how to deal with it. So that's what we're doing today. Fear. Uh, there's many different types of fear. There's fear of success, fear of failure, fear of reading things the wrong way, uh, fear of loss. There's also fear of pain. Now, fear is a perfectly valid feeling. Don't try to spiritually bypass fear. Fear is something very useful, actually, and not useful as in you don't want to give someone else fear. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that fear, instead of seeing it as a catalyst for reaction, when we react to it, that's when it's bad. But when you see fear and use it instead as a compass or a signpost saying you're about to expand, that's when it's useful. And expansion, that can be really scary because it's the act of moving from what is comfortable to the unknown. Um, Most people, when you know you are at the precipice of being expanding, most people, when they're faced with that confrontation of themselves, they're generally going to slink back and choose the latter. The expression of going back to what they know, and that is because it's better the devil they know than the devil they don't. And it's a natural habit that a lot of people do. It's not because they're bad. It's it's scary for a lot of people to expand. And expansion, to be clear, is not having all the answers. And it's not necessarily knowing what the next step is. However, being able to sit with that and know the one guiding you. So yeah, it's not having knowing what the next step is, but however, being able to sit with that is part of expansion. When you're able to sit there and be okay with that, knowing you don't have all the answers and you don't know what the next step is necessarily. That is okay when you know that the source or Abba, the one leading you, does. And eventually, those answers will be given to you, but He won't give them to you before you move, before you expand. You have to expand, and answers come. It's not the other way around. A lot of people get really hung up on that they want a clear, concise map, and He's not going to show you the map. You have to be able to willing to. That's part of the expansion deal, that you have to be able to trust the one guiding you, the feeling guiding you, does know what it's doing, and it's vastly more intelligent than you are. Okay, and this brings another radical fear of trusting the outcomes of your life to something that is vastly more intelligent than you. You have to trust and release the outcomes. This is frightening, which requires a radical act of trust. And when we do this, we release the need to see the whole map. And that is one of the most powerful ways to attain internal peace. Fear of the absence of peace manifests also as anxiety. And when you're a stress ball, the human mind becomes train wreck and can't see straight. And I've been guilty of this. I think everybody has, at one point or another in their life. And if you haven't, then you're just lying to yourself. Uh, Now, with chronic kidney disease, I've been in the hospitals before, and I've had other people ask me a lot of times, "Aren't you scared?" And, well, no. because I know the person looking out for me. I know that regardless of what happens, I'm trusting the one that's holding the reins. So that is a big part of being able to sit with things and knowing that no matter what happens, Abba has your greatest good in mind. And a lot of people, a lot of times people get stuck up and hung up on the fact that they think they know best. I've done this myself. The Alpha Market Project, I was so upset and trying to force a result that the power part did not work. And it was a great concept. Even with the SMIOR, it didn't work. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't give gnosis. That doesn't mean that it doesn't do healing attributes, and it doesn't mean that it isn't a manifesting aid. It's wonderful for those things. Just power is not. It's a no-go. And at first, I was heartbroken. I mean, I really was. But I want to tell you guys a little story about that. This is kind of crazy. When that happened, about 2 weeks went by, and I did a pivot mentally. And I wrote this book called The Sovereign Industrial Evolution. And it was basically a breakdown of a patent that I was writing for people to be able to replicate it. And I said, okay, let's keep the idea, because it's good. But instead of scrapping it as a book in whole, I wrote a fictional novel about it. And I wrote a series, 3-series saga on the Sovereign Industrial Evolution. The first one is that. The second one is Being Human. And the last one I just wrote, called The Silence and the Scream, which all tells the same story but different points of view. And it's really kind of cool how it came together. And it pretty much is a story of how all energy is borrowed merely, and eventually we do have to return it to the Lessir. And it's not just returning it, it's the manner in which we return it and what we bring back with the interest compounded of what we've learned. So I thought that was a pretty cool little idea. And with the alpha marker as the power failed experiment, I didn't see it necessarily as a failure because it still provides gnosis. It still does anchoring as far as collapsing the wave function. And it actually did, just not in that aspect that I wanted it to. It didn't do it in power. But I mean, when you produce 4 books after that, that ain't no joke. I know I only said 3. The third one, or the fourth one rather, is a book called The End of Entropy, The Quantum Parallel Parable. And that book kind of explains in a parable sense on how to work with the quantum field and how to collapse the wave function using the alpha marker. And I mean, the sheer volume of abundance and gnosis that came through, I was just reporting basically. I was just dictating and it was just going on the page. Boom, 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 boom. And to be able to do something with, I think the time frame was 2 months. Yeah. That's 5 books. No, 6 books. Yeah. 6 books. Whew. That's that is the very definition of a fatheth, of being opened mentally. So collapsing the wave function definitely did it, just not in that aspect that I was expecting, because I was too close to it. I was trying to force a result. But after being able to take a step back and see things for what they were, it really does humble you, and it shows you that, or it showed me anyway, that I was seeing things from a completely obscured way of seeing them, and it wasn't necessarily very correct, because I was looking for a breakthrough. I don't know what the hell you call 6 books in 4 months or 2 months, but something's there. And it certainly ain't no stagnation or writer's block, that's for damn sure. Um, and some of these books, I think one of them is 441 pages long. Another one's only 153 pages long. But as I said before, I wasn't trying to put a cap on stating, okay, this book needs to be this many pages long or it's not going to be good. No. It's about conveying the idea and remaining authentic through that idea until the idea is complete. And therefore, the book is no longer how many words or pages. Now, it's exactly what it needs to be, no less, no more. It's like saying a complete sentence with a period on the end of it. Instead of just trying to fill space and pages. I hate that when I read a book and it feels like that's what the author's doing. It's like, oh my God, just convey the idea. Anyway, that's just a pet peeve of mine. Don't worry about it. But it really brings me back to the subject of fear. For me, it was fear of loss of the idea not working out and the fear of failure. And then after it happened, taking a long step back and looking at things for what they were, it took me a minute because I was pulling the whole karmic kid, running down the street with a pop balloon, still holding the string and the ice cream cone that doesn't have the ice cream in it, running down the street just heartbroken and mad. Excuse me, I got a cough right now. But yeah, I was mad and heartbroken. But after I had my little temper tantrum and I kind of swallowed myself with the bed sheets for a week or so, I started writing, and it made sense to me. Not all at once. I even tried doing the SMA wire just as an experiment, just to see, well, maybe it's just the tendon for the piezoelectric charge. And that was a brilliant idea, but unfortunately, it wasn't what was needed. So it remains a static object. However, the evidence stands. My own scars have healed. My partner's scars have healed. She actually had someone, an ex, very abusive ex, before me, punch her in the side of the head. And he left permanent indentions of his knuckles, the prints of his knuckles in her head, in her skull. And the day I made that alpha marker, the first time, she had a headache that whole night. And it's actually uniform now. There's no more knuckle prints, which is unheard of. So, the brakes, as you guys know, I still got to fix those things. Jesus. But being open and the concept of the Aphath frequency really opens you up. And sometimes you got to be able to take a step back and look at seeing what is being opened. And abundance isn't always material. A lot of people get that confused. For me, my abundance has been coming in through thought mostly. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm trying to be as humble and as humanly possible about that without going into the piety area, because that's a slippery slope as well. But I am acknowledging the milestone that I have achieved, and I'm pretty stoked about it. I'm pretty damn proud of myself. I mean, 7 books in 6 months, that ain't nothing to sneer at. Especially since the last 5 books was done within basically the last 2 months. So, it might have been 2.5 months for all 5, maybe 3 months, but for the most part, if I was actually to take a look at just the sagas that I wrote, the 4 books mainly, that was done in 2 months, and that was a massive milestone for me personally. I mean, personally, a big achievement of mine. You guys know I wrote a book a long time ago called Into the Fire, And I thought that was the ceiling back then. Oh boy, was I wrong. Now I actually hear people saying, "Oh, I like your book," and I go, "Which one?" It's kind of funny. So, those are some things to take away from this, and try to understand that fear is just a signpost letting you know that you're about to expand. Now, there are plenty of rational fears. If someone's pointing a pistol at your face, then yeah, you should probably be a little concerned. But when it's coming to something in your dreams, or fear of success, or fear of failure, that is your signpost saying, hey, Bubba, you're about to expand. You're about to go through it. Do you have the conviction to stand your ground and continue pushing through? And that is when God will light your path for you. And He's not going to do it. Excuse me. He's not going to do it before you start walking. He's going to light up each stone as you go. And for me, it was the same thing with each book. I did Sovereign Industrial, and then I did Being Human. And I was done. You know, I was happy. I was really happy. And I started thinking about it. And on the way up to go camping, I thought of the idea of the quantum parable. So I started building that. And then I put it down so I could spend some time with my partner and enjoy our camping trip. And then I went right back to it as soon as we got home. And finished that one. And then when I was done with that, I thought I was done. I really did. And then I had to do the Corruptors version of the same story from Being Human and Solving Industrial Evolution. And that now is a finished set, or trilogy, that I think came out extremely well. And I'm pretty happy about that. So, yeah. But that's my whole spiel on fear, and hopefully that helps somebody out with use fear as a signpost, saying you're heading in the general direction, the right direction. Don't let it paralyze you. A lot of times, when I said that people will choose the latter, they'll choose the comfort of the known versus the unknown. It's not bad to do that. It's not necessarily good either. That's when you do something like that, it's where your discernment is needed. Especially with expansion. Expansion has never been a bad thing. Never will be a bad thing. But when you see something you're scared of, there's a reason and a why. And a lot of times, if you sit with yourself, and I talk to God about it all the time, you know, and a little trick I've done lately is I will sit outside and I will ask myself, what am I curating? Meaning, what am I editing over? What am I saying? I'm being really polite when I talk to God. So why am I being so polite? Why am I not just pouring myself out? And we all do this. We all have this need to curate things and make them, I guess, a little easier to be more digestible. And when you can sit outside and you say, what am I curating? I'm mad. And I'm mad because of this. Sit with that for 10 seconds. That's all. 10 seconds. Let it sink in. Exhale it. Accept it. And offer it up to God. And you might not feel very good about it the first time you do it. You might not feel very good about the second time you do it. But by the 10th time, by the 17th time, by the 20th, 50th, whatever time you've done it, you've uncurated yourself so much that it just comes out naturally. And you're actually training your brain with a new pattern of thought and a new method of communicating with the one thing that matters most in this world. And when you can do that, fear just kind of slides off your back. Anyway, that's all I have to say today. Be good. If you can't be good at it. Namaste.